Hello, I'm Ishjo, and I'm here to talk today about supporting platforms and how that helps them just by being there. I'm here to encourage you to use social media less, and especially social media that has such an inequitable presentation of its users. In my How to Do Webcomics video, I encouraged people to think about where they are hosting their work. But this also applies to real life outside of your professional output. I advised people in that video to be wary and not go to places that require you to format things in a very specific way that you won't be able to use effectively elsewhere. The reason for this is because if you are constantly thinking about formatting it specifically for this very special site, you either won't be able to use it anywhere else, or it'll take extensive work just for that site. And if you should ever want to put it anywhere else, you will have to go back and change it to a more suited format. But it is also worth saying that this consciousness, this awareness of this very specific format is something that will shape your thinking. Twitter is, to use it as an example, a platform that was based around basically shitty coding. The site is still terrible, and they know it. They have a completely arbitrary character limit, and this is whittling down people's attention spans and their expectations. Even though people will do multi-part tweets to get around that character limit, it still makes people expect small smidgens of information, if any information, in a very specific, brief format. It's not good for people. And the same is true of Facebook or any other social media platform. They want you to think about how they require you to speak, and they want that to affect everything else you do. They want you to be on Twitter. They want you to tweet your every insignificant thought. But unless you have a checkmark beside your name, unless you have thousands of followers, they don't actually care about you. You are just helping to prop up their platform by being there and being active. Just using their platform actively makes them profit. Just being there makes them credible. Just using their platform lends them immense credibility. It lends them weight. It allows them to go and say, hey, look at all these people that use our platform. It makes us believable. It makes what these people say credible, and gives them the ability to justify anything they say as, look at all these people that agree with me, which is not, in any way, logical or reasonable. Exactly like any other place, online especially, users are often improperly equated with gravitas. How many times have you seen an advertisement for an online game saying, oh, all these thousands and millions of people downloaded this, even though a lot of the time most of the people that downloaded it don't actually play it. But they can still point to that, and it still sounds impressive to people that don't think about the statistics. And this is really why social media cannot continue to be supported as it is. When people are treated in such an infantilizing way, and their very thoughts shaped by the format, by the platform itself, there is a problem, because this is tantamount to thought policing. It is never really more apparent than right now when, for example, TERFs and other bigots are completely allowed to send kill yourself messages to trans people, or to basically use the platform to further their own hate and ruin other people's lives. To say nothing of the politicians that use it irresponsibly and advise people things that they have no experience or knowledge in, but these people go and do these things out of complete ignorance, and then they die, or something happens to them, something horrible. And yeah, on one hand you can say, well, you were stupid enough to believe someone on social media, but on the other hand, that is the fault of the social medium. They're not doing their job, they're not being responsible, and in fact, it's not even giving it an equal platform, it is giving it a preferred platform. They aren't getting equal time, which would still be completely inequitable because this is a bunch of idiots, but they are given not only an equal opportunity to spout their idiocy, they are given basically a bullhorn, an amplifier, to spread this bullshittery around. And I'm just going to say, fuck that. And fuck, quite frankly, and quite emphatically, their policies of trying to pretend like they're your parents. Even if my parents were to try and say something like Twitter has said, for example, I would tell them to go fuck themselves with something suitably unpleasant. And if you're already going to try and punish people, don't also arbitrarily set some sort of time where they can't even use your platform properly, because that's just excessive. Saying, you did this and we don't like it, you're going to have to undo that or do something else to get back on the platform. Fine, you have already punished them enough. You don't need 12 hours where they're just sitting there getting angrier and thinking about how much they don't like or need your platform. I do not give a flying fuck about what Twitter's values are, because as far as I'm concerned, they don't have any. They are completely bereft of any sort of values or ethics, and certainly no morals. I had only ever thought about using them because I thought, well, I could probably get the word out there about some of my comics, but that didn't really amount to much of anything either. And I'm certainly not going to pay the company to do advertisements, because not only do I hate those, but I'm not going to support a company with money that I hate. And just in case you're thinking that I'm being silly or ridiculous or Twitter's your friend for some unknowable reason, let me reiterate, they present their platform in the worst possible way, knowing that you will use it and it will shape the way you think. When you do any sort of messages, when you make any sort of statement, they have an interface that is actually decent, called TweetDeck. They hide and bury it because they are hoping eventually, as they hoped a few months ago when they kind of floated this idea and were horribly shot down over it, that they would make it a for-pay-only feature, the only decent way to interface with their platform, and they actively hide it so that at one point they might be able to profit from it. They are exactly like Tumblr in that they have basically put any sort of adult content in what amounts to a ghetto. When people do this, especially hosts and platforms, that is because they are segregating them so that they either don't have to think about them or can easily get rid of them when they have decided that they have served their purpose. And this is not just something I'm making up, this is something that I have seen happen time and time again. If you don't know me very well, watch some of my other videos. I am an artist who works primarily in the medium of sequential art, which is comics, and most of my stuff is done for a mature audience. You can imagine how many times over the years I have experienced this exact same thing with the exact same person and administration and platform and everything. The titles are different, the names are different, the logos are different, but they're exactly the same. They think they're not, but they are. They think they are much more diverse and different than they are, but they're not. All of them are based in fear and greed. And these are the worst elements of modern corporate attitudes and how they govern. They may not be lawmakers or law enforcers, but they have a political agenda. And it becomes very obvious from the things that they do and the things that they say, and also the things that they silence. Even more importantly, they don't care about any sort of culture that is not their own and the one that they want to promote. For example, as a gay man, I know they don't care about my culture. They don't understand my humor, and they are not okay with me expressing myself openly. They are quick to condemn people for being happy about the misfortune of a person who is responsible for hundreds of thousands of people dying, directly responsible, who has put people in camps, whose irresponsibility has allowed for a global pandemic, which he famously decried as a hoax, and we're just supposed to accept that? No, thank you. We are not children, and most specifically, we are not social media's children. If they want to be responsible, they will be more responsible with allowing demagogues, would-be dictators, and fountains of hate who have made this world into a disaster area on the precipice of destruction. Funny how this never seems to occur to them, because they know exactly where their money is coming from. There are no morals or ethics in dollar signs, and they are seeing only the bottom line. You being there supports that. You being there supports them, builds them up, and encourages them. They are allowed to use you as a statistic to bolster them. And that is why I say, drop social media. It doesn't lead to anything good. If you want to say something, if you want to have a voice, talk to people directly. Get on Discord. Get on Telegram, which is a secure chat. Get on Muxes. Get on forums. But do not, I repeat, do not go to social media thinking that it is a great outlet for your thoughts and feelings, because they are not there for you. They are there for your money, and they are there for your presence being used for them to make money. As long as they are making money, they don't care whether you live or die. And living or dead, you can have an account, and it can just sit there, and they can say, look at that person who is totally a user of our social medium, which makes us credible and gives us weight. Just something to think about, and I hope you will. You're welcome. Bye.